In the bustling town of Ibadan, the sun was just rising, painting the sky in shades of orange. Tade was sitting on the step outside his family's small house, deep in thought. His sister, Tolu, burst out of the house, holding a piece of paper with a big grin on her face. "Tade, I did it! I got into the university!" Tolu shouted excitedly, waving the acceptance letter. "Oh, that's wonderful," Tade exclaimed, his smile hiding a tinge of concern. They headed inside where their mother, Mama Tade, was preparing breakfast. She turned with a joyful clap of hands when she heard the news. "Ah, Tolu, I'm so proud of you," Mama Tade said, wiping a tear of joy. "Your hard work paid off." But as the family celebrated, a shadow of worry crept into Tade's mind. The money for university fees wasn't there. Later that evening, Tade sat outside the market stalls, speaking with his friend Dolapo. "Tolu got into university, but how will we pay the fees?" Tade said. Frustration etched across his face. "Maybe your Uncle Bayo can help," Dolapo suggested. "You know he's doing well in Lagos." "I suppose," Tade sighed, feeling doubtful. A week later, Tade traveled to Lagos, hoping to borrow money from Uncle Bayo, his father's only brother and the wealthiest relative they had. At Uncle Bayo's house, a large compound with high walls, Bayo greeted Tade warmly at the door. "Tade, look at you, a grown man already." Bayo laughed as he clapped Tade on the back. Inside, while sipping cold malt, Tade hesitated, then spoke. "Uncle, Tolu got into university, but we're struggling with the fees," Tade began cautiously. Bayo listened, his face losing warmth. "That's good news, but Tade, things are tight for me too," he said, looking towards his expensive car parked outside. "But ride on my name. Tell the university you're under my care. They tend to grant leniency for that." "Okay, Uncle," Tade said, trying to keep his voice steady. Back home, Tade explained Bayo's suggestion to his mother. She nodded slowly, a heavy sigh escaping her lips. "We have no choice," Mama Tade murmured. The day Tolu arrived at university, she was hopeful, but soon after, whispers spread among students about her rich uncle who wasn't paying the fees. Tolu became the subject of mocking remarks when a teacher insisted on making an example of her late payments. "Miss, aren't you the niece of Lagos? Where's the money?" a classmate taunted, laughter bubbling around the room. Tolu returned home, her usual lively spirit dampened. Tade tried to console her, but she couldn't meet his eyes. "They think I'm a liar, Tade. I feel so small," Tolu said, tears burning her eyes. "We'll fix it, Tolu. We'll find a way," Tade promised. Mama Todd had overheard and her face was lined with worry. "Maybe it's time we talk to Uncle Bayo again," she said quietly to Tade. Returning to Lagos, Todd was brimming with determination, but this time, Bayo was not home. Instead, his sleek car was parked next to a large, colorful banner announcing a party in his name. It became clear to Tade from the lavish decor and guests that Bayo had lied. There was no financial difficulty, he simply didn't want to help. Tade's anger simmered as he watched people arrive with gifts for Bayo. He felt a burning anger but knew he needed to stay calm for Tolu's sake. On his way out, the housekeeper stopped Todd. "You're Tade, right?" she whispered. "Your uncle doesn't usually care unless he can boast about whoever rescued this family next to his name." Tade felt the words cut deeper than any insult, but it unlocked something inside him, a desire for revenge to demand what was rightfully theirs. Back in Ibadan, Tolu was studying desperately for her upcoming exams despite the pressure. Before she started, she knelt down and whispered a prayer. Her classmates glanced over with smirks. "Praying won't help you pay your fees," sneered a girl sitting nearby, her voice filled with condescension. The words stung, but Tolu blinked away the tears, determined not to let them see her cry. "Watch me," she whispered to herself. Just then, the principal walked in. "Tolu, I need to see you immediately." The classroom erupted in murmurs, suspicion filling the air. Could she be in trouble? As Todd paced outside the principal's office, he knew something had to change. The betrayal from Bayo and the shame Tolu was facing fueled his resolve. Inside, the principal handed Tolu a letter, her eyes widening in surprise. Was this the change they desperately needed, or another hurdle in a path strewn with betrayal? Tade's mind raced, knowing that this moment could either save their dignity or drive them further into despair. Tolu's hands shook as she unfolded the letter in the principal's office. Her heart pounded in her chest as her eyes scanned the page. It was an official notice of payment with a deadline looming. As Tade entered the room, Tolu handed him the letter, her face a mixture of frustration and fear. "They're giving us an ultimatum." Tade clenched the paper, his mind racing with desperation. This was it, the line drawn in the sand. That evening, in the dimly lit room of their small house, Tade discussed their dilemma with Mama Tade and Tolu. Each of them wore weary expressions, eyes heavy with unspoken thoughts. "We can't keep borrowing money, Mama," Tade said, his voice barely above a whisper. Mama Tade nodded slowly, her eyes pooling with unshed tears. "I didn't raise you two to ask for help this way." "There must be another way." "I'm going back to Lagos," Tade interjected firmly. "Bayo owes us, and I intend to collect." The Lagos night saw Tade back at Bayo's gated mansion. This time the party was over, but the echoes of laughter seemed to mock the silence within Tade's heart. He knocked on the door heavily, a knock filled with anger and expectancy. Uncle Bayo opened the door, surprise flickering in his eyes but quickly masked with indifference. "Tade, what is it now?" "It's Tolu's fees, Uncle," Tade began, the words brimming with bitterness. "This is family, and you're treating us like beggars." A heated exchange filled the room, both men's voices rising. "You come to my house expecting me to save you?" Bayo scoffed. "You think you're entitled?" Tade, shaking, unleashed the tension building within him. "Entitled to your empty promises? I trusted you." For a moment, silence hung heavily between them. Bayo, taken aback, softened slightly. "I didn't realize. But the damage was done." Tade stormed out, the weight of Bayo's betrayal heavy on his shoulders. Back in Ibadan, Tolu adjusted the worn scarf on her head, preparing to face another day with uncertainty. As she walked to her class, whispers trailed her movements, each one piercing and painfully audible. Her classmate Funmi approached with a meeker tone. "Tolu, join us for the study group later?" It was meant to be an olive branch, though laced with pity. Tolu shook her head, forcing a smile. "Thanks, Funmi, but I have to sort things out first." That evening, in the comfort of their home, Tolu saw Tade's troubled expression. "Did you talk to him?" she asked, though she could already guess the answer. Tade nodded silently, anger still simmering. He felt stuck, and anger gave him no peace. "We'll make it, Tade," Tolu said softly, surprising him. "Remember what Mama taught us. That faith doesn't pay fees," Tade snapped, immediately regretting how harsh his words sounded. Later, alone in his room, Tade sat with his head in his hands. He battled with the shame of feeling powerless and the urge for revenge on Bayo. Yet Tolu's words lingered, and he found himself whispering involuntary prayers into the quiet night. "God, show me a way," he pleaded, the humility of his situation breaking through the masks he wore. It was Sunday morning when Mama Tade gently urged them toward church. "Let us just see what answers the Lord might bring," she said, her eyes full of gentle hope. Skeptical but longing for respite, Tade agreed. As they sat quietly in the pews, the pastor spoke about humility and forgiveness, his voice tender and compelling. "God sees what you cannot," the pastor intoned. "Revenge will not heal you. Christ alone heals the heart." The sincerity in the pastor's words struck Tade deeply. For the first time, he understood that his pain and anger could only be redeemed through surrender, not revenge. Though paths to immediate solutions remained hidden, Tade left service feeling lighter. The realization that he wasn't in control, but God was, began to shape his perspective. Next to him, Tolu clutched her Bible, smiling softly. Days later, Tolu returned to her studies, more determined than ever. News of her dedication and improvement trickled through the school, even reaching the ears of the principal. Tade, inspired by Tolu's strength, found solace in small acts, helping Mama sell produce or tutoring neighborhood kids. His heart slowly shifted as he surrendered his quest for revenge and leaned more into his family's endurance. A surprise visit from Uncle Bayo shocked Tade. Bayo stood at their doorstep, discomfort in his eyes. "I've come to apologize," Bayo said, sincerity etching each word. "I was wrong to turn you away. Families should help each other." Uncle Bayo had brought enough money to pay Tolu's fees in full, but more importantly, he brought an apology. Tade accepted Bayo's apology, recognizing the seed of change in himself. In forgiving Bayo, a peace he hadn't felt in ages washed over him. At home, Tolu knelt beside her bed in prayer, her whispered thanks encapsulating the growth and faith rekindled in her heart. As Tade watched his sister, he realized that revenge never would have brought him the strength or joy that this moment of forgiveness had brought. With faith now steering their journeys, the unity in their family brought more than they could have planned for. Though scars of betrayal remained etched in their memories, the grace that surpassed all understanding guided their path. A closed door to revenge and an open heart for Christ, the true path born from their trials, had illuminated their way.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.